Disclaimer. This is a work of satirical fiction. Any resemblance to real places or situations is purely coincidental and exaggerated for comedic effect. The story intentionally contains factual inaccuracies and absurdities as part of its artistic expression.
Always excited for a featured guest segment with Jeff Berwick. He's in the green room. As a matter of fact, I should probably just say this. We'll see if we can bring a smile to his face here real quick. I was going through comments on Spotify. By the way, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on iHeartRadio, we're everywhere that you can find podcasts, at least as we speak on this 30th day of March. We are still allowed to exist there. And I was just looking at some of the comments. I do that, by the way. I'm all over the place. I'm in my DMs. I want to hear from people because I'm just a real ass nigga. But anyways, I was going through the comments and it was, Stu, I don't know why you bother with anybody else when you could just bring Jeff Berwick on, because, you know, for years now, he's been forecasting this stuff way out ahead, just like yourself. And, you know, the two of you together is just like, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing to be worried about here because all of this is what we have prepared for, because we have known that all of this is coming. So as we're watching, like, you know, power plants blow up, and although be it grotesque and inhumane and a war crime, a crime against humanity, which, you know, seemingly we have been desensitized to since October 7th. These people responded to that after they did 20 hours later by firebombing their own communities, laying waste to everything. Nothing was off limits. Churches, hospitals, libraries, schools. We're hitting schools in Iran. I mean, these people are the representatives of Satan himself. And the Satanists who call themselves Israelis have made the objective very clear, which is we're going to annex all this land. People who don't get out of the way and immediately flood into the West, into places like Europe, and then, of course, here in the United States, will be, you know, immediately dispatched. You'll be eliminated. You'll be killed. You'll be tossed into a mass grave beneath the rubble and the bent steel that we leave behind in places like the West Bank and Gaza and Tehran. And then the Kushners will make billions of dollars on real estate deals all across the Middle East, from the Nile to the Euphrates. And Trump will have his all-inclusive luxury resorts built atop the bones of dead kids and innocent men and women. And then they will declare victory as they burn some heifers alive and play in their ashes and blow up the mosque, as Greg Locke calls for, build the third temple and usher in their Messiah, which to any Bible-believing Christian would be the Antichrist. They believe that they were chosen by this demonic entity known as G-D to be the arbiters of life and death, to subjugate all of humanity and to rule over the ashes of the fire that they lit. So there's all that. Some housekeeping stuff here. It's the 30th of March, as I said, so one more day remaining to get a $31 discount when you go to stewpeters.tv for your annual subscription, which will give you great perks like early access to documentary films. I'm working on another one right now with Sean Hibbler. You know, kind of a continuation, an expansion of that information that we used in Occupied as a 101 introductory level type kind of revelation for people who may have been resistant to information like this. But after given the current events that we're witnessing in 4K on every video hosting and social media platform known to man, a lot of people, you know, one of the white pills here, a positive takeaway in all of this, is that there are a lot of people who are now coming to realize, oh, Jeff Berwick really has been right, and he's not super crazy and weird, although be it sometimes maybe a little eccentric, I guess, but me too. And I used to look at Jeff like he was a little crazy, especially with the Tesla machine stuff. When I first walked into his villa in Acapulco and I saw people holding light bulbs up to their heads, I was just kind of proceeded to the balcony and looked at the bay for a while, pondering, what am I doing here exactly? And then when I turned around, went back in, sat down, like, okay, I'll entertain this. And then, of course, my shoulder was permanently healed and I'm working out again. And now I am more physically fit, jacked, and ripped than I ever have been, as I take my duty very seriously to be the leader of my household and to protect my family by any means necessary, whether it be financially or physically, or as relating to my well-being and my physical health and theirs as well. So with all of that said, I think I said all that to say that you can still get $31 off at stewpeters.tv. I think it was just like an extended shill, if you will. And we sell great products at spnstore.com as well, too, spnstore.com, where you can get Occupied on Blu-ray or DVD and now give it to one of the people who's likely more open to some of this information. So anyway, glad to have you here. You've seen everything kind of escalating over the weekend, the energy plants getting hit. The Iranians are in total darkness. Soon it'll be all the water desalinization plants. Actually, there was a Truth Social post that was put out by Trump saying, it will be, if the Iranians don't immediately agree, and I can't quote it here directly because I don't have it in front of me, but he did say that all of their water desalinization plants will go. So correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but what that means to me is you can only go 72 hours without water before you're dead. These people aren't retarded. They're not stupid. They know that. This is like a civilized society. These Persians, these Aryans, you know, they have like big cities, bigger than New York City, Tehran, their capital city. They know who their enemy is. They know what is to come. They've heard about all these threats, and they will know that they have to immediately flee the area. Well, where they'll come here, obviously. So we've got this like massive, immediate, displacement that'll happen inevitably. And then, of course, thousands, if not tens or even hundreds of thousands of American lives will be lost as Trump tries to take this Karg Island and tries to effect a boots on the ground regime change.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. This is getting insane, totally insane, and it's going to get more insane, I think. But this is all part of an agenda, and that's something that people really should keep in mind. Of course, they tried to kill everyone on Earth with the lethal injections. Donald Trump was the father of the vaccine. They're fairly successful with that. They killed about 50 million people at the latest counts that we can kind of tell, and they actually injured nearly 1 billion people, which you can actually heal with the Tesla machine if they knew about it, but most people don't know about it. But
yes, you can. Max Egan did that, by the way. Myocarditis caused by the bioweapon, Bell's palsy caused by the safe and effective vaccine, allegedly. I will say that, allegedly. Because you have to, because we want to remain on these platforms. So allegedly, this safe and effective vaccine caused Bell's palsy and myocarditis at alarming rates. And, among groups of people, primarily children, that previously hadn't experienced any of this. Prior to the shot, I don't know, this stuff just wasn't around. But yeah, Max Egan actually reversed somebody that had these conditions. And we've seen a lot of other things too, so yeah.
Yeah, most people have graphene and nanotech in their blood now, and that gets in via various ways. And also the Tesla machine can help unclot your blood daily, which is super important. And that's probably why you've noticed your energy is probably going up. I've got the energy level. I actually got it tested. I have the same energy in my cells as a 10-year-old, and I'm 55, although my tissue age is now 30 years old. So I've de-aged 20 to 40 years with the Tesla machine.
You have very quickly, because I think the last time you were on, you were in your 20s. Biologically or biologically, whatever it is.
Yeah, it keeps going. It's pretty incredible, but we have to keep in mind this is the next wave of the agenda, and they told us this was going to be coming. Of course, Satan Klaus Schwab said during the Covaids, which he wrote a book about immediately, calling it the COVID-19 and the Great Reset, and that's what it was. That was the beginning of the Great Reset, and he said, there's going to be something far bigger coming. It'll end up shutting off most of the power, most of the internet, the transportation, he said, in this next wave of what they're going to be doing. And that's what this is now. So this is completely and a part of the agenda. And what they're doing is actually knocking out most of the oil infrastructure in a lot of the world right now, which is going to cause massive, massive chaos. It's going to cause massive price inflation. Most people are not going to be able to afford to live. They're not going to be able to afford to travel anymore, which is what they want. The World Economic Forum said that they just see the future as really rich people can travel, and everyone else will travel via an Oculus VR headset while they drug them, and that's actually part of their plans.
And these are things, by the way, that they have said very, very much out loud.
Oh yeah, no, this is at their meetings at Davos. Bill Gates said in his TED Talk he was going to kill 15% of the people on Earth with vaccines. He came pretty close to that on the first run. They're going to probably be doing some more things like that, but What we're seeing is, they kind of had they might have made a bit of a switch here because they were trying to get everyone under carbon credits and to get them all so scared of the global warming, which man-made global warming, which doesn't exist. Actually, the world's getting a little cooler now. So a lot of people weren't falling for it. But they intended with that to make it so that people couldn't travel, that it would destroy the economy, stuff like that. But since most people didn't fall for it, they ended up having to take out most of the oil and natural gas supplies on Earth to make it so that it's just not possible for most people to survive. Especially because a lot of that stuff that comes out of the Middle East, especially with the natural gas, there's a lot of the fertilizer comes from the Middle East, and that's been all knocked out. China's now said they're not going to be exporting fertilizer. Russia, which has been hit just every day now for about a week by Ukraine, which is part of the satanic pedivore group, they've had most like 40% of their oil knocked out, so they're not exporting oil anymore. We're going to see, actually, most people don't realize this, because it's still in the early days. This is like being in the days of Covaids in like February 25th, before it all kicked off in like mid-March, right? So most people haven't realized what's going to happen. This is going to be absolutely massive. We're going to see oil's going to go easily $150 to $200. And by the way, you can actually profit from all this. And that's what we're doing at our newsletter, The Dollar Vigilante. I should just mention that because you did mention that, as part of what you're doing, and you're doing all the right things, right? You're getting physically, mentally, spiritually ready for all this. And you mentioned it's also good to have capital. You can actually profit from all this because what's going on, most people and even the markets don't even realize what's happening yet. So at the Dollar Vigilante newsletter, I actually tripled my total portfolio of my trading portfolio in the last month because of what's going on. So I've been shorting the stock markets and buying leverage long oil. And we're continuing to do that. In our next newsletter, I'm going to tell people all about how to do that, by the way. You can just go to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. And I'll even offer for free right now, you can get a free trial at dollarvigilante.com/free trial. But anyway, so that's financial. And, people can actually make fortunes as all this stuff happens. And that's, great. But you also need to survive what's going to be happening. And we're going to see just a massive economic collapse. We're going to see a massive shortage of food in the next year, which will cause famines, which could, at this point, end up killing 1 to 2 billion people. So it's going to get absolutely insane. We're going to see the oil prices go up so much and the economic activity to go down so much that shipping might become very difficult. Or even impossible, or at least very expensive in the near future. Well,
then if you want to get your Tesla machine, you better do it now.
Yeah, get everything you need right now. And I'm not joking. Like, as soon as you're done watching this video, get on Amazon. I hate to give Jeff Bezos money, but, get on whatever you get your stuff from. Make sure you've got a solar backup power supply. You're going to need that. There's going to be blackouts in most of the world over the next year, and like long ones. Like for some places, like in the Middle East, it could be like years, especially if they knock out the desalination plants. That will actually make it uninhabitable for years or decades in the future. So make sure you got storable food. Try to grow your own food. Try to get out of major cities if you can. Those are going to be very chaotic because as the price of food goes up, people are going to not be able to even afford it anymore. It's going to cause chaos. This is what Klaus Schwab said as well. I don't know if you remember. That was one of his big things was we're going to have to prepare for an angrier world. What we didn't know is they're going to be angry because they're not going to have any food or energy. So get ready right now. And if you don't have a plasma machine, that's going to be incredibly important to get through all this because they're attacking on all levels, including in your own blood with the clotting and things like that. So you're going to need that to survive as well. And as you mentioned, and as I mentioned, it might just be a month or two before shipping stops worldwide. So luckily you can go to tesla.club right now. That's tzla.club. And if you go in and you actually become a member today, you'll probably have it anywhere in the world within the next, well, not the Middle East, obviously, but nothing is shipping there. But in the next 3 to 7 days, you'll have it in your house. And then you'll have the thing you need for your own health to get through all this. So, people need to wake up. I've talked all about this. We talked all about this with the Covaids. We were warning people for years. Hardly anyone listened. They injected themselves with poison. Now we're like, okay, here's you cure yourself for the poison, but you're going to have to get it soon because they're going to shut down the shipping soon. And people need to realize This is urgent. This is the biggest event in human history about to happen. It's going to happen in just the next few months. And so get ready with all the things I said. Try to make a fortune on it as well, which you can at the Dollar Vigilante newsletter. And make sure, if you can, join the Tesla Club, that you do so as soon as possible, so you have that, so that you're protected from a lot of their health attacks.
When you say that this big event, you know, unlike anything that the world has ever seen before, is coming soon, do you see there being like one like cataclysmic goings on, like one event? You know, I know that, you know, Lindsey Graham wants the U.S. Marines to turn this island, this, what's it called again? This Karg Island into the next Iwo Jima, where 7,000 Americans died. But anyway, do you think this is going to be like one big event? Like there's going to be some big massive bomb that goes off? Do you think that Israel will use, if they exist, a nuclear bomb or something that just creates like all at once this huge thing? Or do you think this is going to be kind of, you know, ongoing, like what we're seeing right now? Well, there goes another energy plant, there goes another one, and then kind of a slow burn, lights out.
Well, what we're seeing right now is some places are already getting very critical. In Asia, they're already running out of gas. In many places like Thailand, the Philippines, in Australia, they have about 2 weeks left of fuel. There's no fuel coming, by the way.
Yeah, Carlos was mentioning
China
Australia.
Yeah, they're not sending any. And of course, their politicians over the last 100 years have put up wind farms that don't do anything and spent billions on that. They actually have oil in Australia, but they haven't even tapped into any of it. And that'll take a long time to tap into. So already supermarket shelves in Australia are emptying. We could see actual just chaos, just absolute Mad Max style chaos in Australia in the next month or so. And that's going to be happening a lot in Asia as well. So it's going to be kind of like a rolling in different areas, sort of a thing, in my opinion. You mentioned nuclear bombs. I actually don't believe those actually exist. I think they have all kinds of incredibly dangerous weapons, like definitely directed energy weapons. But if you look back, like they even put out that movie, what was it, like 2 years ago, about how the atomic bomb was, you know, created and all that. That's all Jewish propaganda from Hollywood. There's no evidence whatsoever that nuclear atomic bombs exist. Even Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if you just listen to their propaganda, they'll tell you can't live there for 1,000,000 years after a nuclear bomb's dropped, and it's totally fine. Same even with what happened in Russia with their nuclear reactor meltdown. Even the Fukushima, everyone's fine in Japan because the radiation stuff is all lies. So that's actually good news. There's a fair amount of good news in all this. It's not all bad news. One of the good news is I think if they did have something that was like a nuclear bomb, they would have already used it, because this is where it's getting with everything right now. So I think it's going to be what you're going to see. Like, I'll give you an example in America, what you probably see. They're probably going to do a false flag fairly soon. That will cause more lockdowns. The price of oil is probably going to at least, I would say at least 200. So that means gas is going to go up 2 to 4 times in price. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's going to cause an economic collapse. Pretty quickly after that, you're going to see a lot of food items either becoming too expensive. They're already so expensive. Most people can barely afford food in the U.S. Those are going to go up 200, 300, 400%. You're going to see mass chaos, mass riots, people actually just fighting over food and energy, just trying to get it. It's going to be wild. And, you know, it might not happen next week, might not even happen next month, but it's going to happen probably this year by the end of the year at the very, very, very latest. But a lot of these things are going to start to happen. Yeah.
What do you think about the draft? Do you think that they will begin to conscript, you know, unwilling participants and send them to Iran to go fight and die for Israel?
Well, as you know, a lot of us have been putting out memes for the last year, like Jake GTV and yourself and myself and many other people just saying, you know, like, we won't go and fight and die for Israel. And a lot of people said, that's crazy. They're not going to just draft Americans and go make them fight for Israel. Yeah, well, go to your post office right now. They've got all the cards out. They want everyone between 18 and 25 to update their info with the selective service thing. But they actually just increased the age of military inscription to 43 years old. So like it's just like in the Ukraine, they're even bringing in old people just to drag them off to die for Israel. And as you mentioned, if they do some sort of a land actual attack in Iran, this is not Iraq. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Syria. This is an ancient empire of incredibly smart, incredibly actually amazing people. That's why the Satanists are attacking it so much. They've got a lot of weapons. They're very smart. They got a 1,000,000-man army. If they send in like 10,000 Marines, they're all just going to get slaughtered.
Which they're planning on doing full well. They're going to do that. The ground invasion is baked in. And I think the Strait of Hormuz, all the conditions are still right to see a massive false flag there. And the video of the sinking aircraft carrier, or, people blowing up and diving into the ocean, body parts flying everywhere, people jumping. It'll be like, when Americans were jumping out of the Twin Towers on 9/11. It's just like, it'll be permanently used to hype up the support for war. And then also what happened the day after 9/11 at recruiting centers all over the place. Everybody was rushing in to sign up. I'm going to go do my part to put a boot in their ass. That's the American way. Let's go fight these sand people. We got to fight them over there before they, whatever over here, which obviously, if you're actually paying attention, and I noticed that you stressed real eyes, if you realize that there haven't really been any fruitful results, if there are any ambitions to, forcefully implement Sharia law in America, I haven't seen any of that come to fruition. I haven't really seen any attempts, to be honest with you. I have seen attempts at other occupations, successful ones, fruitful for some people. For the parasite that's attached to the host, we are the host, and the host is being drained of its lifeblood, and we've been turned into a strip mall economy. So it's also, by the way, always coming at the expense of the Amalek. It seems like, to me, one of the things that these people get off on is the killing of the Goyim. They seem to just do it for no reason. Like, why did we strike that Iranian girls' school and then a boys' school? Like, why are we doing that exactly?
Yeah, be careful saying we, because we didn't do it. These are satanic metaphors. You don't want anything energetically attaching you to anything they're doing, because there's a lot of karma involved in that. But they're incredibly evil. And it's kind of interesting, though, too, right? Remember when Trump said he was going there to free the Iranian people, especially the women, and then he bombed a little girls' school, and then he said, the Iranians are going to rise up and overthrow the government. Actually, most Iranians are supporting their government, and you had, 10 million people in the U.S., all in the streets actually against the U.S. government, and Trump just kind of laughed it off, and that sort of a thing. This is going to get very interesting. There isn't a lot of support for this war. They actually they kind of screwed up. I think they're losing coherence, actually. I think there's a lot going on. They're losing power and losing coherence. Usually before every war, they do a false flag. Every single war in history, they've always done a false flag. Of course, there's the Gulf of Tonkin and Vietnam. Of course, all the Middle Eastern stuff was started with the false flag of 9/11. Even the Israelis in Palestine, that was done with the false flag on October 7th. But this time they didn't do it first. And so no one actually really wants it. Like, do you know anyone? I haven't heard anyone who's like, I really support this attacking these people in Iran. There's hardly anyone except for a lot of Jews,
the people
a lot of
at
bots,
CPAC.
a lot of CIA, Mossad people. Yeah, all those sort of, the neocon types, they're still around.
All the people that filled the chamber during Trump's speech. Did you notice the State of the Union address? The only time that both sides of the fake aisle, all of them stood up and, applauded was when Donald Trump talked about waging an illegal war in Iran on behalf of Israel. That's the only time that they all agree. They love war.
Yeah, they all make millions or billions of dollars off of it, obviously. They're all paid off by Israel and the military-industrial complex. This, too, though, is going to destroy the U.S. This is what my book, The Controlled Demolition of the... There it is, there. Controlled Demolition of the American Empire was... I wrote all about this, and this, they've already, Donald Trump's actually put on about half of the total U.S. government debt in just 5 years of his presidency.
Do you think all this is intentional? A lot of people said during COVID-19, well, he was duped, by the scarf lady, Deborah Birx, by the rat-faced demon, Tony Fauci. He was duped by the people that were around him, and, they gate-kept information from him. And that he's, kind of an unwilling participant. Well, to me, that would just make you stupid and unfit to lead the free world. If you're going to get duped, you're the president of the United States. The buck stops with you. So if you're going to get duped, then you're unfit. But do you think that it's intentional?
Well, here's the thing with Trump. He has no control of anything. He's an actor. He's on the Hollywood Walk of Fame with his pentagram, of course. He's in the World Wrestling Federation Hall of Fame. He's been in hundreds or thousands of movies. He's just an actor. So he has nothing to do, even his tweets, he doesn't write those tweets. He thinks he's sitting there with his big fat thumbs writing his tweets. He probably doesn't even know how to do that. Those are all put out by Butlick and all the people behind him. And they're just massively profiting from a lot of this stuff. But yeah, he doesn't actually control anything. So yeah, this is an agenda from the highest levels. And this even goes to like non-human type levels. You call it Satan, whatever you want. That it's from the top down. They're doing all this stuff on purpose. Now, is Iran in some ways not completely controlled by the same side? Possibly, it's possible in some ways, but in general, this is all being done to shut down most of the energy on Earth, the oil and the natural gas. They're going to be locking everyone down. There's going to be famines. So people need to get ready. You need to try to make as much capital as you can right now, which you can with the Dollar Vigilante newsletter, and make sure you've got food and backup power sources. Also, if you can join the Tesla Club, because that can really help you get through all this. I actually almost use it almost every day for some sort of event, because I have about 40 people here on my ranch in Mexico, and I have about 25 dogs, and every day someone gets hurt with something, right? And it's so nice to just instantly basically heal it. Even cuts, it stops the bleeding. It'll actually heal up the wound 2 to 5 times faster. No doctors, no vets. We even had a dog gets bit by some toad or something. He was seizing up. The Tesla got him back to normal in a couple of minutes. So it's super, super helpful to have. And like I said, most people have a lot of the graphene and nanotech in their blood, and that really clots up the blood. And the Tesla will unclot that blood. You can use it every day. That will give you the energy levels you're going to need to survive over the next few years.
And if you don't believe Jeff Berwick, maybe take Dr. Anna Maria Mahelcha's word for it, who a lot of people, you can look, a lot of people love her, and I'm one of them, because, after La Quinta Columna, I met Anna, and, she was kind of like, she's like, yeah, I can verify this graphene oxide stuff. And she took it to the next level. She was showing, live dark imaging of people's blood and people who had nanotechnology inside of them. And then she showed the results after the use of the Tesla. She's like, whoa, I'm all in on this. So I don't know. I trust her. She loves the Tesla stuff. She keeps it in her clinic. Great stuff. And I love it too. So I think everybody should be a member of the club. I think that if you can, if you have the means, that you should go to tesla.club right now, tzla.club. There's a lot of things that happen here in this private association membership, because it's outside of just the Tesla technology itself, which was, yes, when we say Tesla, TZLA, it's named that because it's based on the technology that was developed by Nikola Tesla, which was then stolen by Donald Trump's uncle and the CIA, hidden away by Big Pharma, because it actually does the things that we talk about every day that it does. And I got personal experience. Anyways, Tesla.club, again, tzla.club, tzla.club. Our members become superhumans. There are people who have had ringing in their ears for 30 years that no longer do. There are people who had permanent, that they believed were permanent, debilitating, agonizing, inconvenient, pesky, injuries or tightness. A lot of people, they just have that neck. All their stress goes to their shoulders. You want to talk about dealing with stress, the way that I deal with stress now, as opposed to the way that I dealt with stress before I used the Tesla machine every day. And then I use it in combination with other things. It's not like the only tool that you should have in your arsenal. It is a weapon that you should have, because it's going to keep you healthy, and it's going to give you energy, and it's going to heal things that you probably didn't think, or you had accepted you would just always be dealing with. At least that's my experience with the Tesla machine. So if you can experience it yourself, I would highly recommend it. Again, tzla.club, tzla.club. Don't fall for the imposters. There it is on the screen, tzla.club. The Stew Peters Show continues next. Frankie Stocks is in the green room. The Based Report coming up. Stick around.